The culmination of the U.S. race to power is here at last. Donald J. Trump is the 47th President of the United States of America. Trump has set the ball rolling on big disruptors from the word go, with massive policy reversals of the previous regime. And he's got lots of flack, both from within and without. Here's a report.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
As expected, an inauguration ceremony loaded with grandeur and pageantry, and also an indication of a new regime's new paradigms to come. On the guest list at the Rotunda at the Capitol Hill, besides former US presidents, America's tech giants, and an unprecedented opening of doors to world leaders. In his inaugural address, Trump got straight to the point.
We will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first. Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end.
Claiming a mandate to reshape American institutions, Trump set to work unraveling what he termed President Joe Biden's anti-America legacy. Top of this long list of 80 executive orders, a national emergency along the US's southern border with Mexico. Troops will be deployed at the border immediately, boosting fossil fuel production, rolling back environmental regulations, namely the 2021 Paris Climate Accord. America, he said, will also end the new green policy of electric vehicles. The US would also no longer be part of the World Health Organization. Restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship on social media, he said, is another focus area, directly taking on the Biden administration. A special decree would allow his officials to use all their powers to cut down on inflation and make commodities cheaper. Standing out, pardons for all but 14 people who participated in the January 6, 2021 riot at the US Capitol. More than 1,500 people charged are to be set free. All pending cases related to the riot are to be dropped.
So this is January 6th. These are the hostages. Approximately 1,500 for a pardon.
Yes.
Full pardon.
Full pardon or commutations?
Full pardon. We have about 6 commutations in there where we're doing further research.
It's been a wave of reactions both from within the United States and without. On the political front, former Speaker Pelosi hit out on the pardon for rioters. Pelosi termed it shameful that the president decided to make one of his top priorities the abandonment and betrayal of police officers who put their lives on the line. China has extended financial support to the World Health Organization. Beijing expressed hope for cooperation with Washington to resolve trade issues, stressing on stable development of China-US economic and trade relations. And there's a growing trepidation on the Mexican border of what's to come.
May he, Donald Trump, have compassion and let us cross. May he give us support, because we are suffering, 6 months since leaving Venezuela of suffering.
The winner of this race to power goes about ruthless sweeping changes in the US administration. Expect many more to come in days ahead, even alongside the protests, domestic as well as global. What matters is the difference he can make as he holds up his promise of making America great again.
The golden age of America begins right now.
Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Geoffrey Kabasavis is a Vice President of Political Studies, Niskanen Center, is joining us live from Washington, D.C. Mr. Kabasavis, thank you very much for talking to us and joining us at this hour. I'll just go straight to it. Yesterday, Donald Trump stamped his authority. He indicated that he's back. He indicated that he's back. And there are so many people who paid attention to his executive orders, one of them being the Paris Agreement that he wants America to be out of, and the other one is the World Health Organization. He wants America to also be out of the World Health Organization. And now there is NATO. How committed is Donald Trump with NATO?
Well, it's good to be back with you, Eric. And yes, this is the beginning of Trump 2.0. And here in Washington, there is both exhilaration and trepidation about what's to come. Trump, I think, issued 46 executive orders last night, as well as a number of other actions, such as that sweeping pardon of virtually all of the January 6th rioters that you had mentioned. You know, it's still to be determined how Trump will respond to NATO. Trump declaring that he was withdrawing from NATO or failing to abide by its principle of collective defense would be a major step of the kind that he hasn't even yet taken yet, as momentous as some of those actions have been. Mr.
Kabasavis, should regions like West Asia and now Ukraine be worried? Because we have the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, who was just talking to participants at the World Economic Forum in Davos, and he actually did mention that he's not very sure about the US's commitment to the NATO, and he's not very sure if Trump will support his entry to the NATO. How do you think that will pan out?
You know, I think Trump is both taking credit as a peacemaker, as with the resolution, or at least the ceasefire with Israel and Hamas in Gaza, but also positing a new vision of a different kind of global order than what we've had since the end of World War II. Donald Trump seems to be reverting to almost a 19th century view of great powers, which each have their spheres of influence, which they mutually respect. But within those spheres, they're free to do what they want. And this would appear to be a reversion to a kind of world where the strong do what they can and the weak suffer what they must. And what I think Donald Trump gets wrong is that this global order has immensely benefited America. It has not been America getting ripped off by the world, even as this order has been broadly beneficial to much of the rest of the world, too. One might even compare the post-1945 settlement to what the Treaty of Westphalia did for Europe, but applied to the whole world. It's given a stable basis on which to create genuine global prosperity. And I think Trump is putting this all at risk if he genuinely believes that America should go back to that earlier 19th century's vision of global order.
What about the relationship between the United States and Europe? Because we saw the headlines in some European countries which were not very favorable towards Trump. It's actually, they feared that Trump is really not that good of a leader when it comes to relationship with Europe.
I mean, Trump has had troubled relationships with other European leaders, most notably Angela Merkel, who was, as head of Germany, probably the leader of that bloc for some time. Trump doesn't think much of Europe generally, and part of what he's doing is asserting America's independence from Europe and its politics. On the other hand, you know, we have seen in Europe, most European countries, a real revival of a kind of populism which is anti-immigration and nativist, for which Trump can arguably be seen as the global leader now. So in that sense, it's popular that Trump's relationships could get better with Europe as groups like the AfD and other similar organizations and parties increasingly prosper in Europe.
All right, Mr. Geoffrey Kabasavis, it's always good to have you with us on this show. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.